Scene 1. The drive into the storm. It was Halloween night, and the rain had been falling for hours, a cold, relentless curtain that blurred the world into gray streaks of headlights and water. I was driving through the backroads of northern Pennsylvania, heading toward a small town called Renfield. My plan was simple: deliver an old clock I'd restored for a collector, stay overnight, and drive back in the morning. But as the rain thickened and thunder rolled through the woods, my GPS lost signal. I hadn't seen another car for miles. The only sound was the wipers thudding across the windshield and the low hum of the heater. I remember glancing at the clock box on the passenger seat, antique brass, Victorian design, engraved with strange symbols I didn't recognize. The air felt heavy, damp, like the woods themselves were holding their breath. That's when I noticed the sign, "Welcome to Renfield, founded 1889. The letters were chipped, hanging crooked, and below it, another sign had been scratched out so badly I couldn't read it. Something in my chest told me to turn around. But I didn't. Scene 2. The house at the edge of town. The collector's address led me to a Victorian mansion sitting on a hill, its windows faintly glowing in the downpour. The house looked wrong, too alive, like it was watching me approach. Rain slapped against my coat as I carried the clock up the porch steps. Before I could knock, the door creaked open. A woman stood there, thin, pale, with black hair tied back. She smiled, but there was something unnatural about how long she held that smile. "You're early," she said softly. "Come in before the storm gets worse." The interior smelled of damp wood and iron polish. Every shadow felt deeper than it should have been. On the walls hung portraits, all of the same man, painted in different eras, always staring directly at the viewer. I handed her the clock. She traced the carvings with a trembling finger. "He'll be pleased," she whispered. "Who?" I asked. She didn't answer. Scene 3. The ticking. She insisted I wait until morning before leaving, said the roads would be washed out. I reluctantly agreed and sat by the fireplace, sipping lukewarm tea that tasted faintly metallic. That's when I heard it. Tick, tick, tick. The sound echoed through the room, slow and deliberate. I assumed it was the antique clock. But when I looked over, I realized something horrifying: the clock wasn't running. The hands hadn't even been set. The ticking was coming from the walls. The woman stood by the window, staring into the rain. "He's awake again," she said quietly. "He always wakes on Halloween." My heart pounded. "Who are you talking about?" She turned, her eyes wide. "The man who built this house. The one who still lives here." Scene 4. The faces in the rain. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. The house groaned with every gust of wind. I got up to close the curtains, but something outside caught my eye. Through the rain, down by the tree line, dozens of pale faces stood staring up at the house. Men, women, even children, all unmoving, drenched by the storm. I blinked, and they were gone. Then came the knock, slow, heavy, from the front door. The woman appeared from the dark hallway, whispering, "Don't open it. They want in." "Who are they?" I hissed. Her eyes shimmered in the firelight. "The ones he took before. The ones who came on nights like this." A flash of lightning filled the room, and for a split second, I saw shadows pressed against every window, their outlines distorted and twitching. Scene 5. The collector. The clock began ticking again, loudly now, like a heartbeat. The woman screamed, clutching her head. "He's here," she cried, and then I saw him. A tall figure stepped out from the hallway, face hidden beneath an old funeral veil. His skin, where visible, was dry, gray, stretched like paper over bone. In his hands, he held an identical clock, gears turning backward. "You brought it back," his voice rasped, sounding like stone grinding against metal. "It belongs here." I stumbled backward, the air thick and suffocating. Every tick grew louder, sharper, until the entire house vibrated with it. The portraits on the walls, all those versions of him, began to bleed from the eyes. I bolted toward the door. The woman didn't stop me. She just whispered, "You can't outrun time." Scene 6. The road back. The rain hadn't let up. I drove through it blindly, shaking, until I reached the highway. The GPS flickered back on. Everything looked normal again. No mansion on the hill, no sign for Renfield. Just empty road and the sound of rain. I glanced at the passenger seat. The clock box was gone. In its place was something small, a pocket watch, still ticking. Its back was engraved with my name. I threw it out the window, watching it vanish into the dark. But even as I drove away, I could still hear it, faint, persistent, and close. Tick, 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 dash dash dash. Final scene. The call. 3 nights later, I got a voicemail from an unknown number. It was the sound of rain. Then, faintly, a woman's voice whispering through static. You left something behind. And underneath her words, the slow, steady ticking of a clock. Then silence. But as I'm telling you this, with rain